Buenos dias, lectores. You may have seen my reaction to a very particular book.
I'm changing my socks to go roller skating and I had to stop because if I don't get this out, I'm going to literally freak out. I just got to chapter 9. I'm barely through this book.
We're in one of those moments where I might literally be too old for this book. Like, I know everybody's a teenager, and I know teenagers do some shit, but us talking to one of these characters right now has me pissed. What do you mean you don't know why everybody's mad at you? You don't know why everybody's mad at you? Really? There's no reason everybody would be mad at you right now. Zero self-reflection. None whatsoever. Hate that for you.
Has anybody else also been kicked out of their mama's house? You're not in the street, you're not whatever, but they send you to like the one person's house you don't want to go to because they know that like you all tough right now, but you're not gonna be tough in like 2 hours with that person because that's the realest shit ever.
This is the official book review for The Golden Boy's Guide to Bipolar Disorder by Sonora Reyes. I am going to split this book review into 3 parts. First, we're going to have our introduction. I'm going to go over a quick synopsis of the book. Second part is going to be a non-spoiler review. I'm going to try my best. This is a sequel to the Lesbiana's Guide to Catholic School. So if you have not read that one, the non-spoiler part is going to have a few spoilers from that book. And then third part is going to be full spoilers. We're going to get into characters. We're going to get into things that pissed me off, things that I absolutely loved, and characters that I can't live without. If you've read this book, leave a comment down below. If you're going to leave a spoiler, make sure you write spoiler over the top. Talk that ish. Let me know, what did you love? What were things that drove you insane? I need to know everything that you're thinking. Also, if you love this book as much as I did, like, comment, subscribe, share this. This is for us to have a book community. I want to talk about this story with you. Otherwise, I wouldn't be making this video. Part 1, overview. A quick synopsis of this book. Golden Boy's Guide to Bipolar is obviously the sequel to Lesbiana's Guide. We see all of the same characters, and this is a book that you have to read the first one to understand the second one. All of our characters are kind of in their regular roles. We don't see Yami's friends as much, even though Bo, Yami's person, is still a substantial character throughout this story. We still have Cesar, Jamal, Mama. Dad comes in here and there. Bianca, Nick, and even some new characters come into this story. This story really is Cesar's guide to understanding himself. It is the summer after last year, and he's really going through the different emotions of, what does this mean for me? Cesar is going through therapy. He's still at school, and he's trying to reconfigure what is his relationship to Jamal now that they are not together. What is his relationship to his friends? Does he really have friends? As we know in the last book, Cesar was in classes with people a year older than him. So all of those people have now graduated. Him and Yami are now the seniors, and he didn't spend time making friends with other juniors last year. So he has to figure out, where is my path? Who are my friends? While also hiding this entire part of himself as he's been struggling with his mental health, and those around him, despite his family and Jamal, do not know. We really go on a journey with Cesar when it comes to medication, when it comes to wanting to be off it. What does it mean to really find your own identity and understand who you are when the world has a lot of criticisms and bias towards mental health and mental health treatment, especially in his community? One of my favorite parts of this story is also the fact Sonora Reyes starts off from the jump letting us know Cesar is not a reliable narrator. So as we're reading this, we interpret things one way. Then we hear Cesar's thoughts to how he's interpreted that, and it's usually completely separate. Anytime I was like, yes, somebody made a point. Someone's going to really get Cesar to understand what's going on. Absolutely not. He sees that piece of advice or that comment totally differently than I would have. And it honestly gives a lot of space and understanding to the reader of how you can love someone, but that doesn't always mean that you're the right person or that you say the right things to help them get through a hard situation. I will say, just because it's important to me, that I think this had a very satisfying ending to it. I know a lot of stories that happen with mental health do not have those endings. So if you are someone who needs a satisfying ending, I think this book delivers. Part 2, non-spoiler review. All right, so how do I even get into some of these details? This is 100% 5 out of 5 for me. I knew it was going to be a 5 out of 5. Nothing was like, oh, am I really going to like this? Am I sure? Is this really going to be a good book? I knew going into this. Those of you who were following along with me on Instagram know I read this in 2 afternoons. I went, bought the book, started at like 12 p.m., read through the night, went to sleep at 2 a.m., got up at 6 a.m., and started reading all over again. I did read this book along with the audiobook. I technically bought it twice because I like authors that I like get in their bag. I actually think that's the biggest form of flattery. I'm like, I'm gonna pay you every way that I possibly can. But it was nice reading and listening to the voices behind it. I think there's a certain emotion that comes with an audiobook sometimes, especially like that's the voice of Cesar. That's the voice. I read Lesbiana's Guide in audiobook. I was teaching at the time. I was listening to it on my lunch breaks and in between driving to work. So those were the character voices I already had in my head, and I really wanted to continue that process when reading the sequel. I recommend it. Highly recommend it. The tone, the way that the voice actors express themselves just tie in so beautifully to the story. The poetry, there is poetry in this book that needs to be heard. Like some of them are given at like slam poetry night. So that's something that is so like audio based that it felt essential to this book to do it in that space and to listen to it in that space while reading along. I think that if you are someone who cares about understanding mental health, this is the book for you. This book did so much more than just inform me. This is bipolar. This is what this looks like. Da da da. It wasn't just a layout of definitions. It was a visual experience of understanding. It was sitting there and picturing and knowing what it was like as a high schooler, knowing the extreme range of emotions I went through as a high schooler, and then adding on this extra layer, seeing these different lives play out. And there are other people with other things as well that they're processing and going through. And every single character in this book is so thought out, is so holistic, is so real. Nobody feels like a cardboard copy or like a model minority, a model example for anything. It feels like these are real people living a real life and just interacting in the world together and going through different struggles and having really clear miscommunications along the way. At the end of the day, I knew this was going to be my favorite read of the year. I am not surprised at all. There are just certain things that connect with me, and Lesbiana's Guide was that. So I know Sonora Reyes delivers every single time. They do not put anything on the page that is not thoughtful and researched and really, really personal to them and an experience that they want to tell. I feel so blessed to have read this book as a teacher, as someone who works with youth, as someone who works with people with different disabilities and mental abilities and all of those things. I knew this was going to be a great read for me, and I can't say I regret it. I would do it again in a heartbeat. I would pick this book every single time. If you're interested in this book after hearing this part of the review, put a little star in the comments for me down below. I cannot wait to see what you guys thought about this. All right, this is your warning. Fair game. We're in spoilers territory. I am dishing it all. My feelings, how upset I am. I'm a cuss. Like, this is the part. If you don't want to know yet, jump out, jump back in after you finish reading. Write me a message. I need to know your thoughts on specific characters. Bianca. right? I need somebody to be upset with me. And I'll see you next time, lectores, if this is where you're hopping off. All right, y'all. I do have notes for this part. So if I'm looking off to the side, it's because I'm staring at my notes. We're starting from the beginning though. Like page 1, Jamal. My heart. I love this boy. Like Jamal can do no wrong to me. And I don't care if Jamal like ran up and punched Cesar in the throat. I'd be like, yeah, Jamal, go for it. Live your life. Be a babe. Jamal is just lover boy. And honestly, I've been reading a lot of books with Black lover boy characters. And every time I'm just like, I'm so proud of y'all. I'm so proud of the way that you love and take time to express your love and your thoughts and those things, especially being portrayed in male characters, just feel really healing for me. I don't know. I like it. I'm just a girl who loves a little romance. And I can't lie. That's really my jam. Like that's me. I'll do it hands down any day. Jamal still just being very open and honest with Cesar, but also giving him space and time to be himself. Was not surprised. Jamal has been ride or die day one for Cesar, and I think he would always have given him that level of dedication and understanding. And so I'm very thankful that from start to finish, even though Jamal does have his own growth as well, he puts up his own boundaries to take care of himself when Cesar's kind of like self-destructing and being really destructive to those around him. Makes me feel really good. I love Jamal's knowing, his understanding, his ability to love Cesar as he is, but to also set really strong boundaries with like, you know, you're being really harmful to me and you're being mean to me, and that's not acceptable either. So while he's being super loving, understanding, and kind, he's holding Cesar to very high expectations that I really, really appreciated and loved throughout this book. Now our boy, our main character, Cesar. And I also want to apologize because I think when I was like at 2 a.m. ranting on Instagram, I kept calling him Caesar, and I know that we don't call Cesar Caesar. Like that's the way that he like code switches for the school and the population when he's in. There were so many times in this book where I'm like, okay, we're getting somewhere. We're processing. We're making it. No, we're not. So Noah Reyes does such a good job of getting you so excited because you're like, this is it. We're going to see the clouds. The clouds are going to part and the sun's going to beam down and we're going to get it. And it's going to make sense. No, it took us a very long time to get to a good place in this book. And I think that's honestly very honest with life. I think it's very honest with life to just feel distraught and distressed, and nobody can pull you out of that but you. Sometimes people can put in the most effort for you and they can try their darndest to like get you out of a hole, and it almost feels condescending at some points. It feels like, why are you giving me so much grace? Like, what is wrong with you guys? And especially in Cesar's case, like he's always been the golden boy. He's always been the one, like he can do no wrong because he's so intelligent and he has this genius level IQ, and things come so easily and naturally to him. And so when he's seeing those around him make such great accommodations for him and he feels undeserving of it, it almost feels like people in your life are making fun of you. And that's not at all what's going on. Everybody loves him. Dami loves him. His mother loves him. Like they don't make these sacrifices because they don't care about him or because they're trying to get something from him. They make these sacrifices because they feel an immense amount of joy and passion for who their child and brother are. But it comes off as condescending when he's like, Jami looks at you wrong, mom, and she's grounded, but you just let me do whatever I want. People, especially as a teacher, I've learned kids like boundaries and they like fairness in those boundaries. So while you may be able to do more or have more of a capacity for something, if I'm doing the wrong thing and my siblings doing the same wrong thing and they're getting punished worse than I am, it's favoritism. And Cesar feeling that favoritism when he feels undeserving of it, I think was a very overwhelming experience. Another thing that I really love about this book is the conversation of not wanting to be medicated. So there are a lot of stigmas in mental health about medication and about what that means. And honestly, in many cases, it is extremely helpful. Getting on the right medication is extremely helpful. As someone with ADHD, who has students with ADHD, anxiety, autism, all these different abilities, it can be so freeing to have your brain kind of be calmed down so that you can think through what you need to think through, so that you can accept what you need to accept and process what you need to process. On the other hand, it can also feel very jarring. It can feel like these pieces of you are being suppressed or taken. Like, I have a lot of students who will take medication to be able to really focus in school, but at home, like, their parents don't feel a need to medicate them. Like, they're in their own space, they're in their own whatever. The rules are different. There's certain leeways that allow them to do those things, which is something that I actually am a really huge advocate for. And it can be freeing to have both. Sometimes you have things like schizophrenia where it's like you can't have both. You have to sometimes be medicated consistently, otherwise the medication doesn't work. And so I think this book did a really phenomenal job, especially while Cessa was in therapy, of going through the process of talking about, okay, if you're not going to take medication, what are the coping strategies that you're required to learn to be safe with yourself and safe with others, and to be able to function in a society that doesn't necessarily adjust for you and your needs. I loved that conversation. I love that there were some people in Cessa's therapy group that are not on medication and are processing things in their own right and time, because that's very an honest experience. Cessa's about to turn 18. It's going to be completely up to him whether or not he wants to be medicated. And so it was nice having and seeing that conversation play out in a non-judgmental way with a group of people who were all experiencing different ranges of that scale. 2 new characters that we got. Actually, we got 3 new characters in this book. So we got Moni, Abuela, and Avery. Avery, I'm going to come back to. Moni's quick and easy. Evil genius. She's wild. I enjoy how unhinged Moni is. Can't wait for her to take over the world. Wish her nothing but the best. That's it. That's all I gotta say. I don't know what else to say with Moni. Oh, another thing with Moni, I am kind of sad that her gift has kind of been this thing. It's again the same thing that Cessa goes through, where we have struggled and we want you to be successful, and it's really that first generation immigrant of like, you will be great. And so when Moni is gifted and is a gifted musician, everything is poured into this idea not of Moni as a holistic person, but Moni's talent as her pathway to success. And it's so interesting because Moni is clearly going to be a successful businesswoman. Like, it's not at all in a question in my mind, but because she has this specific gift, all of her value is put into that specific gift by her family. And again, that feels condescending and degrading. Like, I can't be more. I can't be a whole person. What is all this pressure put on me? So she fights against that. And it's so sad because something that Moni might actually like really love and enjoy and could be like a very cultural experience for her, she finds no joy in anymore because the family has got to put all their eggs in that basket for her, the same way they put all their eggs in one basket for Cessa being academically gifted. Can't wait for Moni's empire. I will be sitting there partaking. Very excited. Avery. I'm going to talk about Avery before I talk about Abuela because I have more positive things to say about Abuela. Avery done made me so mad in those first couple meetings. Like when Cesar walked into group therapy and Avery was sitting there, I was pissed. I don't care. I don't care that you didn't kick me in the back of the head. If the only reason I was kicked in the back of the head is because you held me down so that they could kick me in the back of the head. What do you mean? Well, I never bullied you. I never physically assaulted you, Cessa. No. You just held me down so that everyone could beat the crap out of me. Round of applause. I'm so happy that you were an active bystander and I got hurt because of it. Like, be so for real, Avery. I need you to like reel that shit in because that was messed up. And screw you. Like, I don't care that you don't feel that you were the direct threat to me. You absolutely were, because they couldn't have caught me otherwise. All right. And I understand that Avery was going through a lot, especially with the blackmail from Nick, with this, with whatever. Especially Avery doesn't have a supportive family. So he's been through a lot. And I understand trauma responses where you don't agree, but you're going to go along with it so that you don't become the victim. I get it. I get it. But didn't necessarily feel like there was a full resolution to that ownership. And I appreciate his growth. I appreciate Avery's growth. I appreciate his ability and willingness to stand up for himself as he became stronger and more empowered and kind of saw Cesar's humanity more and more and more as they were in group therapy together. But it took me a while to get behind Avery. By the end, I'm there. I see it. I like him. Especially when it came like Fight Club. Appreciate him. It took me a long bit. The best addition to this book, though, I believe, is Abuela. I believe Abuela is a vital character. Like, we could not be without her. And I love Abuela's inclusion because I really thought all of this responsibility was going to be put on Yami. And I love Yami's boundaries in this book where she was like, I can't do more for Cesar. I can't give up school. I can't give up my life. I can't do this because he needs to decide what life is for him. And he doesn't want me involved right now. And it's definitely that sibling thing of like, you hate me, so like I'm not gonna get involved right now. I'm not gonna whatever. It wasn't that simple with Yami, but I appreciate her not having to take on the load because she's taken on the load for so long in their family, and Yami's a child too. Like she is. Them being Irish twins doesn't take away from the fact that she is a child and she deserves to have a childhood just as much as Cesar has and does. Abuela coming in and again, this repetition of like, these are the things that we've heard about these people. I heard my abuela's crazy. I heard she's awful. I heard she's all these things. And Cesar finding kinship with her and being like, so mommy must hate me. So da-da-da. That is so for real for kids. That is so for real. I don't think parents realize all the time how these offhanded comments really impact your children. As a teacher, any offhand comment you've made, I've heard because your kid sits there and thinks about how that relates to them, especially when it comes to you discussing other family members and your thoughts on them. So Abuela coming in and being someone who's not at the end of their journey, but is just an elder who went through many of the things Cesar went through, who isolated and self-destructed and had a destructive relationship for many of the same reasons Cesar is having, was so powerful. And it speaks to the importance of multi-generational households. So important, vital. When they say you need a village to raise children, yes, you do. And that is the one thing in Latina culture that we have down packed. And you have to be careful with it, right? You want the right multi-generational village. You want people who are going to support and care and help you. You don't need somebody who's going to be destructive to your child. But this idea of the multi-generational household is my favorite. I love it. And that's how like we grew up. We grew up like seeing our grandparents and everybody's like taken a stint in their home and lived there for a little bit and been raised with them. Like they were such a vital part of me growing up. So it was such a fantastic addition, especially I don't think I remember Abuela being in Lesbiana's Guide. So like when she came up, I was like, oh geez, like we get someone else. We have another family member. We have another support. And it was also nice seeing, you know, it's very, very common that Latina women, children especially, have a very strenuous and difficult relationship with their mothers because of the expectation Latina mothers put on their female children versus the one that they put on their male. It's just a thing. It's very different. The expectations are very different. The harshness, the level in which they speak, like we get into arguments in a ways that our brothers don't get into arguments with our mothers. So it's so interesting to see how that intergenerational pass down, even from Jami, to see the way that like Jami's mama treats Jami versus Cesar versus how their mother was treated by their grandmother. It was just fantastic to see that. This book is so layered. Like there's a million things that I could say about a million different people. This book is so layered and I could go on forever. Like I know I can. Last person that I'm gonna talk about. Okay, not last person. Nick and Bianca. I do not need Bianca back in this book. She's a great inclusion back in this book because she sucks. Like, how are you so unaware of how much you suck? Especially when people are telling you. Like, people are consistently telling you you're the problem and you're like, me? Me? You mean I'm bringing Nick back into everybody's lives? I'm making out with someone who beats up people and hospitalizes them and da da da. And I know that. And I'm doing it because it's gonna upset Jami. It's gonna whatever. Like nobody can tell me otherwise. Bianca's in love with Jami, obsessed in love with Jami, and it's not like a friendship obsessed in love. Like I don't care what anybody says. I don't want to know what Bianca's problem is. She's obsessed with Jami because for you to be like, you want to know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna mess with your brother, and I'm gonna mess with the guy who bullied your brother, and I'm gonna get upset that your girlfriend's here, and I'm gonna like, bro, the amount of airspace, because ain't nothing between them ears. Okay, there's no brain in there. The amount of airspace she takes on the daily, focusing on Yami, who has been in no contact with her for over a year now, is nasty. Go apply for a college, go get a job, go do something with your time. You have too much time on your hands. That's what it is. You need to go occupy yourself with something, because the amount of time you're spending focusing on my girl for no reason is insane. Like, she's a stalker at this point. I don't care what anybody says. Jami don't even go to her school no more, and she's still obsessing over her. Like, Miss Ma'am, get a life. And I do not care that Bianca did one right thing in the end. That don't matter to me. That don't mean nothing to me for the millions of wrong things that she's done for 2 years. And like, that doesn't mean that's who Bianca's always going to be. Bianca could grow up to be a great person. She could figure herself out. She can notice her wrong. She can grow. I just don't care to see it. I don't like her. I ain't going like her. And I understand that that's like trauma and that it's self-sabotage and all of those things that we're really giving Ceci grace for in this book. But it makes me so mad because it's like, you still didn't say sorry. Bianca never takes a moment to just apologize to Yami in a genuine way. She says sorry, but like, she doesn't even know what she's sorry for. She's like, I don't understand why your sister's holding such a grudge. Really? Really? You don't know? If you don't know, then why are you apologizing? Because you're not sorry. So I don't care that Bianca did one right thing in 2 whole books. 2 whole books! And she only did one right thing. Jail. Straight to jail. And then like the king of jail, that's not even next to Bianca, under the jail, Nick. What a little psychopath. Like, I don't know what he got. I don't care what he got. What a literal psychopath. Like, this wasn't even just a hate crime. It was like flat out a murder plot. Premeditated plot to just anybody he wanted, whenever he wanted. And his little gang of boys all with it. Something is wrong with y'all. And that's it. That's all I've got to say about it. I don't know what type of nasty raised you. Especially like, they talking about Nick going to church. I'm like, church? Church? What church? Like, this is like some extremist group church, because I don't know what you mean. You go to church and you just walk around committing crimes every day. And not like subtle crimes, like intense crimes every day. Without fail. And everybody knows it. Everybody's sitting there watching him commit crimes and they're like, Nick, yeah, more of that. Wild. Wild. Amount of entitlement, amount of support, amount of whatever. Not even in jail. Under the jail. Not 6 feet under, 12 feet under. We're in the sewer, so far, center of the earth, that he could pop out through China. Like, that's where we're at. Because what a psycho. Don't like him at all. Not one redeeming quality. I couldn't feel an ounce of sympathy for Nick. And I'm happy that Sonoya didn't try to make us find one, because I'm not looking for it. If you made it this far, I deeply appreciate you. I know that I've been ranting and raving, but I was so excited for this book, and I'm so happy to have read it. If there's an important part that you think that I didn't cover that you want to talk about, write about it in the comments. I will 100% respond. Like, please engage with me. Let's do it. I love this book. It's on my must-reads list, as well as the prequel, Lesbiana's Guide. I think everybody should read it. I think you have to definitely be open-minded and empathetic when reading both of these books. If you're someone who's going to read it just to hate on it, like, don't. There are themes of LGBTQ, there's trigger warnings, there's, you know, thoughts and ideations that are very hard and heavy to read. Sonora Reyes does start by saying, take breaks if you need breaks. Your mental health is the most important. And at the end, gives a really great note to the Trevor Project. If you or someone you know is struggling with your mental health, the Trevor Project is a great outreach. They do have a phone number as well as a chat if talking through what's going on is not really for you. Definitely get into some poetry. Oh my gosh, guys, the poetry in this book is my favorite. Leave a slam poem down below. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much, lectores, for going through this with me. I'm sorry this took a little bit out. I was a mess trying to film, trying to get back into this. My next review is going to be much quicker, more on point. I apologize for the delay and thank you for your patience. I'll see you next time, lectores. Bye.